Hello, welcome. Today we're going to unpack some Sagittarius stereotypes. Just warning you, there's a lot of them. Some signs just have a whole shit ton of stereotypes, and we're going to debunk them a little bit. We're going to explain where they come from. Yeah, let's have some Sagittarian fun. So, we're starting off with a classic, which is Sagittariuses are flighty and non-committal. Now, a major thing that you need to know about a Sagittarius is Sagittariuses do not like structure. They do not understand it. They actively try to steer clear of anything that resembles rules, constraints, schedules, things like that. And in a way, a relationship is kind of considered like a structure if you're looking at it from like a very cultural standpoint. Monogamous one-on-one relationships, that kind of stems from a structure of some sort. So taking it by that, it kind of makes sense that they're not the most committal to them, because it's something that they're maybe subconsciously trying to avoid because it reminds them of being confined. And another thing about a Sagittarius to know is that they want to experience everything in life that life has to offer. Because they want to experience everything, they want to experience different kinds of people, which means dating different kinds of people, not sticking to just one person. Like a person with like a lot of Sagittarius placements is probably not the type to only have like a few relationships within their life and then like settle down to one. Although like a Sagittarius of course can settle down, but they could be the type where they have like a lot of wild romances and flings and like people that they've dated, whether if it was like a long-term thing or not. They just probably have a lot of experience in the dating field because they love to experience the whole spectrum of people. And if they're committing to one person, then that cancels out the opportunity of them experiencing a whole bunch of other people in intimate ways. Getting kind of philosophical with this, which is very Sagittarius, but like intimacy to them, it's like really getting into someone's mind, into someone's world, and usually that sort of intimacy is saved for romantic relationships. And yeah, like the whole Sagittarius cheating thing, like they could sometimes be unaware that they're kind of crossing a boundary of becoming too intimate with another person when they're supposedly supposed to be in a one-on-one relationship, because they love to explore the mind realms and like people themselves. They want to experience the full extent to that person, and that takes like a lot of intimacy and seeing people in different ways and different situations. So you could struggle with monogamy. Sagittarius, you could often see them being interested in polyamory just because they do have like a lot of needs there. Again, they really want to experience it all, and you're not going to be able to experience it all when you are in a monogamous relationship that's long term. Now, this is not to say that I'm defending Sagittariuses for being really like sketchy and like cheating and stuff. Like, I'm sure there are Sagittariuses out there that do that with kind of like immature and malicious intention, if you will. But that's just me kind of explaining where that might come from. Now, the second one that we're going to get into that's kind of similar is that they're really flaky, specifically for like making plans and committing to things, that sort of thing. Again, this stems from their discomfort and unable to comprehend structures and time and anything that kind of falls under that category. So like they could be the kind of person to have a lot of last minute cancellations. Like if you're supposed to hang out and they'd be like, oops, like, sorry, I forgot, or like, oh no, I double booked, or like they just like don't give a reason or whatever. Is they're not really great with time. It's not something that really like they understand that well, and they struggle with it. So they're just kind of really living by their own internal clock, which does not always match up well to other people's clocks and just time in general. But another reason why they could be flaky is just because they literally might have found a better opportunity or like funner thing to do or something that's come around that's time sensitive, so they want to like jump on it. And a lot of the times they're going to think that that's not going to take offense to the other person for them being like, hey, sorry, like I found something better to do. Because yeah, they're very much about taking on any and every opportunity, so that their schedules could be pretty booked up for that reason. But they also like wouldn't be offended if you were to do the same to them. Like if you were to be like, oh, like this spontaneous thing is happening right now, like I've been invited to this thing, I'm sorry I can't make it. Like maybe they would invite you or something, but they're like, I'm actually like traveling the world. And they are such a yes man. And they are ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is all about expansion and luck and kind of the yes planet. So there's that. Another stereotype that kind of goes along with the flakiness is they are inconsiderate. Yeah, they just don't consider other people's needs and other people's like things that they ask of the Sagittarius or whatever, or think how the other person's going to be affected. It could kind of like come across that way. And the thing about Sagittarius is, like, for the most part, they are pretty well-meaning and often are unaware that they're offending people, which can be very annoying, I assume. But they will make up for it if they really care about you and if they're, like, told that what they've done is wrong. Like, Sagittarius are very direct kind of people, so, like, they're gonna just assume that things are okay if you don't really bring anything up. They are optimists, so they're always just gonna assume things are good. Like, there's really nothing to worry about. We're vibing. And yeah, and the reason why, like, this could come across where they're not, like, noticing things that are seeming kind of inconsiderate is because they really struggle with noticing details within, like, all, like, aspects of their life. Sagittariuses are all about big picture kind of thinking, where they're really comfortable with large concepts and yeah, big thinking, understanding things as a whole, holistic kind of objective way. But when it comes to narrowing ideas down and things down, that is where they struggle. And so naturally within their mind, they're not going to notice the little things like you saying, hey, like dropping hints about something, or being like, oh, I want to like meet up at this time, or like, oh, I am feeling uncomfortable about this, like, or you saying that in a way that's like not with words. Like, they're not it's kind of autistic coded in a way. Like, they're not really great at picking up on those kind of hidden cues because they're details that they're too busy looking at the grand picture, the vibe, to really notice them. Now, another stereotype that I kind of see about Sagittarius is that they're rather chaotic and just like all over the place. They don't seem, again, like there's just no structure within their mind frame and their general being and their life. So yeah, definitely not the most put together sign. However, through the chaos, there is their own kind of structure that they understand. So although it may look really chaotic, they're actually pretty calm and collected about it because they have a well enough understanding of their self and how they move through the world. And again, they're very aware of big picture thinking rather than focused on details. So yeah, they may not notice little things, like they may not notice that, I don't know, like for example, Sagittarius might like not be aware where their shit and their like things are at all times, because that is a detail that is within their life. They're, you know, off in their own worlds, but they are going to remember bigger, kind of like more important things. Like, I saw this video where it was like comparing like type A, type B friends, and one of the things was like, oh, the friend that before you go to the club, they'd be like, hey, like my phone's at 2%, so like make sure you stay close to me. Like, I don't know, it's that kind of thing where they don't think about these like details that are actually like quite important to making sure things don't like go wrong or awry. But again, I've mentioned their optimism. Like, they're just gonna assume that things are gonna like work themselves out. Like, it's whatever, it's not a big deal. It's not like so much Virgo thinking where you're very like, they very much need things to be as they are to make sure that things go out smoothly. Sagittarius are just gonna be like, well, things are gonna like, yeah. Oh god. Also, I'd just like to note that, like, although they may come across as chaotic, they're actually very, like, chill people and aren't usually the type to, like, make beef with you or have beef with you. Like, if they don't like you, they'll probably just avoid you and, like, make sure that they're not going to be in proximity with you. Yeah, like they're really not the ones to kind of fake being nice to you. So if they don't like you, like they're just gonna leave, you know? They don't really like want to have reason to talk to you. And also, like, it's rare for a Sagittarius to truly like have beef with someone or like be mad at people, just because their demeanor is just very chill and they're like very, again, big picture thinking. So they're just kind of assume the best in people and be like, oh, there's probably stuff going on in their life that I don't know about, so like I'm just gonna leave it. I'm just gonna be like, well, that probably wasn't personal, that kind of thing, which can work out for them and not work out for them, because then they can like assume the best for problematic people or people that have genuinely done something wrong. So yeah, like it's not uncommon for Sagittarians to be like friends with everyone, including people that like maybe they shouldn't be friends with, you know? Like they're very much focused on like, well, oh, do I get along with this person? Do I vibe with them? Do I like their values? And then maybe not pick up on like their behaviors and actions, even if they don't align to their values. Because that, again, is a bit of a detail. Like an action, that's a bit of a detail. They're less strong on that, if that makes sense. Now, another stereotype that kind of is reminding me of what I was talking about is that they're unserious or kind of like naive with their thinking, just because they are such optimists. Like they're just gonna think, well, nothing's ever bad has happened to them, so of course they're assuming the best. It's like, no, like bad shit could have happened to a Sagittarius in their life and they may not have had like the best of times, but despite those things happening, they're still gonna have like a silver lining kind of approach to life and like be optimist about it and be like, no, there's gonna be a way out of this, things are gonna turn out. But they are also ruled by Jupiter, the planet of luck. So a lot of Sagittarians actually do have a lot of abundance and luck that enter into their life, where things seem to just work out their way, where they get into situations where you think, oh no, this isn't going to end well, or they're going to get into trouble, but then they kind of slink out of it, which is because, you know, Big Daddy Jupiter is like on their side helping them out. So they are pretty like light-hearted sign, a pretty light-hearted sign, which can also like attach itself to unseriousness and naivete, and like kind of like happy-go-lucky or just like chillin', like seemingly unaware of like the bad things. It's like, no, they're probably like somewhat aware, but they're just kind of choosing to be low-key about it, to be like, nah, like it's good, we're good, like nothing's wrong. Like they're pretty good at being in the present, I would say. Well, they're a little hippie energy, you know. Another stereotype I have about Sagittarians is that they are really impatient and like can't sit still and always want to be moving forward and doing things. And yes, again, they are associated to the planet of Jupiter, which is all about expansion, growth, that kind of thing. So if a Sagittarian is forced not to expand and grow and learn, they really feel unhappy and very uncomfortable in that. So that's why they kind of always want to be on the move, so they're constantly able to meet new experiences, new people, new things that will stimulate their mind and allow them to feel like they are progressing in some way. Another thing about them to note is that they are like very independent and very good at being independent. And so that can, you know, be another reason why they fall out of relationships a lot, because maybe they could be in a relationship with someone that's a bit more codependent, and then that avoidant attachment style, and they freak out, you know. Yeah, like they are so much an independent that they're going to assume that the people around them are as good at being an independent as them, and that like they don't need help, because like Sagittarians aren't the best at receiving help or asking for it or knowing that they need it. And so they're often giving the benefit of the doubt towards people being like, oh, like they're okay, like they're a strong person, they're a strong soul, like they got this, I'm sure they don't want me like, you know, meddling in it or whatever, which can come across as like, oh, like inconsiderate, you don't care. But to them it's really like can be a compliment towards the other person, because it's like, well, like I know you as a person, and I think you got this handled. If someone asks them for help, like I think they absolutely would help, do everything in their power to help. but they're just us often assuming people will be okay because they know that they would be okay in a situation or similar situation. But that's obviously not always the fact of life because everyone is different. And yeah, they also might assume that people also prefer independence as much as they do, especially for like things like travel and stuff and being able to handle different travel situations. Yeah, another kind of like funny, less like harmful stereotype of Sagittarians is that they love to travel and they like just gobble that shit up and are hardcore travelers, spontaneous travelers, which like yes can be true about Sagittarians, but it's good to not maybe like put them in a box. They really, like I was kind of mentioning before in the beginning of the video, they're really big on traveling in all the facets that comes in, like metaphysically, mentally, in the spiritual plane, physically, like going around the world too, that applies. They're very big travelers in that way. Like anything that excites them, gives them life, allows them to learn new things about themselves and about the world around them, they really enjoy. And for that reason, they're also like natural born philosophers, very good at taking big concepts and talking to them with people and expressing their own views, like very big world views, and value systems are very big for Sagittarians. Yeah, and they're again less comfortable with like dissecting the details of those big broad topics. That's more like a Gemini's job, which Gemini is opposite of a Sagittarian. So like Geminis can really offer their nuances and like detailed ways of thinking to a Sagittarian, while the Sagittarian can allow us a Gemini to think more broadly and big picture on how things connect. So yeah, they can really help each other in that way. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I include that in there so we can just kind of understand that like there's some Sagittarians that maybe don't travel a lot or like don't like traveling that much because, you know, other placements, and they could enjoy traveling in other ways that you might not think of as traveling. Now, one last big stereotype I'm going to get into is that Sagittarians are really flirty, super like a people person kind of thing, which yeah, can be true. The reason for them being able to get along with people pretty well is because again, they like can really understand where someone is coming from in their life experience and stuff because of their strength at seeing things from a big picture. And they really love to hear people's life stories. They love meeting new people, specifically people that are quite different from them and that have had different upbringings or have grown up somewhere different in the world. They really like that because that's giving them so much more insight that they wouldn't have been able to have enlightened to them because they're just like one person and they can't like know it all. So they just love knowledge and they love transmuting knowledge and like exchanging information between people. And they're very fascinated by people from other cultures or other countries. And so often you might see a Sagittarian like ending up with someone that's from a different cultural background. Yeah, because they are really in love with that and find it really, really fascinating. And because it also like helps them grow as a person and like understand the world better and themselves better. So yeah, they can really get along with all sorts of people of different backgrounds, etc., which like maybe a lot of other signs wouldn't be as good at doing that with such like a broad, diverse spectrum of people, because there's maybe not so much as of an intrigue or an interest. But I assume like Sagittarians are great at getting along with people because they want to ask questions and also share their own perspectives and get all philosophical. So like they get pretty like deep with even strangers, and so that can really like create a connection pretty quickly. Yeah, again, and with the flirty thing, yeah, they're intrigued by people very quickly, but then they fall out of that intrigue just as quickly. So again, with the whole like non-committal flighty thing within relationships, is that as soon as they have kind of gotten that interesting piece out of the person, that nugget, and then they're starting to kind of see the person for who they are, either that usually like scares them or they're just not interested because they're seeing something that they don't really like about the person or it's something that they don't really want. They've already kind of gotten what they want, which is the intrigue, and then once that dies down, it takes the other person being like still intriguing enough after the initial meeting for them to maybe want to stay and create a relationship or commit or whatever. They really want to make sure that that person has like similar values that align to theirs. And yeah, as many may say, they're here for a good time, not a long time. And that really, I feel, describes the Sagittarian energy and goal pretty well. All right, well, that was my Unpacking Sagittarius Stereotypes video. I hope my head was like not down here too much. We're figuring out a different camera setting every time, so it's a learning process. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you saw a new perspective on Sagittarians. I've never said the word Sagittarian so much in my life. I'm glad it's not Sagittariuses. That would be really difficult. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on Sagittarius, on if I missed anything crucial. I feel like I always do. If there's anything that you have to add on or disagree with, or just like your own personal experiences with Sagittarian energy. Yeah. Thanks for being here. And I will see you for Capricorn next, which I'm very excited about. Okay, see you then. Bye.